Top of Hey, what's up, guys? This is Justin from Justice League Swag, and today we're going to be doing a deck profile on Dynasty Cup's first Luck and Logic winner, top Nick Leonard, and he played Mana.
Hey guys, all right, we're gonna get into the gate deck first. 2 gate ones, stock 3, 2 gate 2s.
Yeah.
Stock and draw. 2 gate 3s, stock 1, and then if you have a card in your drop zone, you can add that member back to your hand. And then from here on out is where it's going to get a little controversial for most people. 2 gate 5. So with gate 5, I intended to use this over gate 4, just because I like to go for consistency over trying to basically sack your opponent. There's a lot of times where my opponent's on their 4th attack or 3rd attack and they break this gate as the last gate. If it's the rest gate, it's kind of useless, but at least with this, I can get a +1. And on top of that, it does kind of act as a sack gate, saved me a couple times. And then the last of the gates is gate 6. Really good card.
So is that stock 1, mill 1, draw 1?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So all advantage here.
Alright, getting into the main deck. We'll start with the level 1 Logicalists. 4 breaking out of her shell mana. This card is so good. When you trance with Artemis into a mana, that mana gains +1 aura until the end of the turn. Just so powerful when you're attacking, being +1 aura.
Yeah, it makes your opponent think twice about switching it to a horror battle.
Right, right. In addition, with some of the other cards, it's almost overwhelming for the opponent. Alright, so next we're going into 4 Sword of Ice mana. There's a lot of blue decks that tried to mix Aoi and her TransUnion, but I felt like consistency more so than over getting the draw. I did test with that a little bit and it just wasn't worth getting that 1 extra draw, so I stuck with all mana for the Logicalists. And then finally, 2 Stoic Pupils mana, just your Vanguard. Going into the foreigners now, 4 Dietary Guidance Artemis. When you trance with a mana into a TransUnion, you drop 1 and draw 1. You cycle. This card, even though it's not really netting you anything, it's really important to keep your hand balanced. So if you're flooded with aura, if you're flooded with
Paradox,
power,
like my luck.
Yeah, you don't. This really helps with the consistency, and you see the payoff of that when you go into battles. There's a lot of times where I've won battles just because my opponent ran out of certain power or certain Oradox or something like that. After that, we have Goddess of the Moon Artemis. 4 copies of her. A lot of people like to stick with the 2 Logicalist Vanguard and 2 of the Foreigner. I prefer to play 4 of her because her enter skill is you give a mana plus 1,000 power, and that's actually come pretty clutch in a couple situations. And then finally we have Sleeping Smile Artemis, 2 copies of her. It's mainly just to fill the spot. Going into the level 2 TransUnions, MVP, 4 Good Job mana. Didn't want to hide the SP there. But her skill, if you have 4 face-up blues and she's in the back row, anything that battles that's adjacent to it gains plus 2,000 power. In late game, when you're going for that push, you drop a couple of these bad boys down there, and on top of the Aura Trans Covenant skill, you can swing with 19,000 power and 2 aura. It's devastating. Really good card. People play less than 4 of her. I think they're crazy. After that, we have 3 Forced Assault mana. Again, with the setting up and hand tutoring, her skill, when she breaks a gate that's adjacent to her, you can draw 1 and drop 1. Really good going into first turn level 2 with this. For the level 3s, we have 3 Stiping Preparations mana. Her skill, when she's adjacent to something that she's battling, she gets plus 2,000 power. She's your level 3 beat stick of the deck. A couple times I went into her to get over some pretty early good problem childs, Tamaki to be more specific. And then 2 of Capable Sniper mana. This is kind of a little bit of a branch off than most decks. I don't see a lot of mono decks playing this, which is understandable. She's pretty low power. But what I like about her skill so much is when she breaks a back row gate, I can tap a Touch of Heaven to draw a card. Really good in the early game where you're not really using your levels that much, so you can net a free card. And then after I use her the first time, you know, she's kind of just for a bait. Going into the level 4s, we're playing 2 Longbow and the Moon Knight Aoi. She only has one purpose, and that is if you're going first. If you're going first, you're in a bad position in terms of gate breaking because your opponent's going to be up on you. So when you go into your level 4, it's important to transfer this and break 2 gates on that turn to catch up. If I'm going second, I never call her out in the field. And then probably the MVP grade 4, or level 4, we have Emergency Evasion mana. Trial deck card, believe it or not. Her Logic Drive is very simple. Pay 3, draw a card, and plus 5,000 power. But what makes her so good is with the Covenant skill of the mana, she gets plus 1 aura for the turn she's tranced into. So you can swing, just base alone, 16 plus the 1 aura. And then if you have any of that level 2 mana, the good job mana, you can swing 18, 20,000, and it's almost impossible for your opponent to catch up from that. And then finally, for the last of the level 4s, 2 Descent of the Kagura mana. She's really your finisher if your opponent's at 1 gate. I actually never tranced into her at all during the entire match, in the entire day. Just never was a situation to do it. Her skill, simple but powerful, Logic Drive 3. When she attacks, you discard your entire hand, and then you can use all blue cards in your battle zone for Logic Definition that turn. So if you have, a fat drop zone plus 3 or 4 level 4s, it's almost impossible to guard because you'll have infinite, Logic Definition at that point. Alright, so that's it for all the members. Going into the paradoxes, we have 4 Stardust Archery, probably one of the best paradoxes in the game in my opinion. So in addition to the plus 1 aura for all blue members, when it enters you can tap a mana to look at the top 2 of your deck, add one of those to your hand, and put the rest into the drop zone. This card is really important early game, especially when you're just going into level 2 and you have 2 unused level boosts. 9 times out of 10, those level boosts until you go into level 3 aren't doing anything. So if you can play this early and use one of those level boosts for early card advantage, it just nets you so much in the late game. Another thing too that I like to use this card is in the later game, instead of level boosting to draw and then play this, excuse me, you can tap a mana and just look at the top 2. So it's kind of like it's a pseudo level boost, but you look at 2 cards instead of 1. And then finally, I'm playing 4 Moody Poetry. Simple, all blue members get plus 1, and then this is a booster, which gives the battling member plus 2,000 power. Originally, I was running the Lunatic Burst, the one that pairs with the level 4 TransUnion Aoi for plus 1 limit, but I just found that this was more helpful, the plus 2 power, than getting the extra limit. And then finally for the tactics, let's see here. I'm going to try to pronounce this. 3 Tokum Miki Metropolitus. So its skill, pay 2, plus 2 aura, and then you can pull one from your drop zone and play that. This card won me so many games. You have to play this card right, and the best way to do that is when your opponent attacks and they play a Paradox, you drop this on them, and then you pull another aura. Since they play the Paradox, they can't cancel, so they have to catch up with aura, and it puts them in a really tight situation. Not only that, but sometimes you can pull out a level 4 in case you need that extra limit. But that does it all for the deck, guys.
All right. Thanks, Nick, and hope to see the rest of you guys at another Dynasty Cup.